Welcome to Sleepless Readings. Tonight we'll be reading a tale called Fire Lookout Here. Here's some advice. I've been on fire lookout duty for several years now. It's a great gig for someone needing to be outdoors, maybe just away from things. I can't claim that it's easy. It does get lonely out there sometimes among nothing but nature. And then there's bugs. Finding snakes in your outhouse, a spider on your face when you're trying to sleep. But really, I wouldn't trade it for the world. But when you've been doing this for a long time, you learn things. A lot of other lookouts have learned them, and we don't talk about a lot of it. You just learn that that's how things are when you're out in the forest. And there are unspoken rules you have to follow for your own good. Even if you're not planning on applying for a lookout job, even as a hiker, you should listen. Some of these things I was told by rangers, others are just mine and mine alone. First, if you're entering this forest, you gotta remember that you don't live here. You're visiting its house, and you better be respectful. That's just how it is. Don't break branches off trees, don't carve your name on the bark. You leave them alone. Buy firewood here if you're staying the night, and don't you dare chop a tree down. There's exceptions, sure. Break off a dying or dead branch, cut up a fallen tree that hasn't hit the ground. It won't get mad about that, and you don't want to make it mad. I've seen what happens when someone makes it mad. Secondly, if you're staying overnight, don't stay in the clearings. You can camp on the edge, but you don't want to be out in the open. If it sees you, it might not like you. I've seen how this thing hunts. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. I've had to call in more than a few untimely deaths from people who didn't listen to the rules. Even I won't stay in a clearing past dark. The moment the sun goes down, you get out of the open space. You don't want it to see you after dark. That's when it hunts, if it feels like hunting. And it doesn't always want to, but it's better not to risk it. Bear? No, I'm not talking about a bear. Bears are easy. You make some noise, pull your jacket open to try and be bigger, and they go running. You get really used to that out here. Wolves are trickier, but they don't really want to bother us. This thing is older than bears and wolves, but I'm not about to cut it open and try counting its rings. There's always a danger with wildlife when you're out here. The rule is generally to keep your distance, to stay far away. And if you do encounter something that you don't want to mess with, well, there's ways to deal with it. Where was I? Oh, right, the guidelines to follow when you're out here. If you're gonna work out here, you need to learn what to do if you see it. And it'll be a challenge the first time. Most people get too scared to do things right, and they get killed. It's not unusual to see it from the tower. It'll make its rounds, and you'll hear people on the radio saying they saw the old oak moving around. I think it knows all of us by our faces and habits now. I think it likes to check on us. We're probably just part of its whole ecosystem now, and it regards us like it does everything else. That means we still have to follow its rules, the same as all the woodland creatures. That's why it's so important to follow the rules. Not just doing your job as a lookout, but by doing things right. No cutting down healthy trees, no overfishing, no excessive hunting. If you start a fire, you put that out and you make sure there's no chance of something bad happening. It'll know. It'll check on you. You'll know if it doesn't like what it sees. If you see it from the tower, just let it pass. It'll move on its own time. Don't stare at it. It knows when you're staring at it. If you see that giant bone-colored oblong shape that we think is its face, just look down and go back to your work. Look in a different direction, anywhere except at it. It really doesn't like being stared at. Staring at it will get you killed. Jeremy stared at it first time he saw it. That poor kid. We had hopes for him. But that thing doesn't like being stared at. We sent him home in a box. What was left of him, anyways. That's just what you do. You let it do its thing. There's nothing we can do to really stop it if it doesn't like something. You just die, and that's that. Guns aren't gonna do anything. Fire just makes it angry. It isn't afraid, and it doesn't care about anything but the forest. Even then, we're not sure if it really cares about the forest, or if it cares about its hunting ground. Hell, none of us are gonna ask it to find out. Sometimes at night, it'll come to the tower. It might be hunting. It might just need to see something. I don't know. Keep your eyes closed. You'll know when it's there. You'll feel your skin crawl, and you'll feel heavy. If you can move, pull your blanket over your head. Just keep your eyes closed. You'll know when it leaves. God, you'll know. And the last is the most important. You're gonna be out in the woods, and you're gonna find it. You'll hear nothing, like the sound just vanishes. You'll think you've gone deaf. Even if you scream, you won't hear anything. And it'll make you go a little mad. That's when you'll know you're there. It'll look like a tree, but not a tree. Taller than anything, with that empty shape for a face. Its roots are deep and long. It's old, we all know it. You'll know it too. But if you find it, and you stand there, well, listen to me very carefully. You look at the ground. You bow your goddamn head in reverence. Kneeling helps, but it doesn't matter. You just look down. And you say, you speak, even if you don't hear a sound, that you are sorry for bothering it. Then you wait. Sometimes it'll let you go. You'll hear again. You'll feel like you haven't eaten in days. Once you can hear, you call the nearest tower and confirm you're alive. You radio whoever's closest and you tell them you're alive. Then you just gotta go right back to your tower. It let you go. That's all it wanted. But sometimes it does something else. Sometimes it's hungry. It'll take whatever it wants from you. Blood, skin, soul, whatever it feels like taking. Whatever it needs. It'll hurt. Fuck, it will hurt. But it doesn't take more than it needs. It knows the balance, and it will give you an acorn. No matter how bad you're hurt, you go back to the tower and plant that acorn. Rescue will probably get to you in time. You're here with us now. The forest is gonna get a little bigger every year. It'll inch through a little more until it starts taking towns for itself. Nothing we can do to stop it. All we're here for is to make sure no fires get out of control. We've had a good record so far, even with the climate getting all messed up. Because I sure as hell don't want to see that old oak when it's really hurting.
Thank you for listening. That was Fire Lookout here. Here's some advice.
Don't forget to like the video, it does help to boost the channel.
There's new stories every Sunday.
So subscribe.
And ring the bell.
Thanks, guys. And, as always,
Stay sleepless.